I liked your video, but there's a number of things you don't know. Things nobody knows. Except me and Steve. When I was growing up, there was a strange, almost magical feeling about the local commercials that played during the late night hours. Well, late night for a child. They came on at like 7, but I was a kid. This all started when I was doing research for my video on the commercials of Car Stereo 1. Commercials local to my childhood home in Northwest Ohio, starring a man named Steve who would try to get you to purchase remote car starters by saying the name of an aquatic reptile. Turtle! I promise you that if you watch my first Car Stereo 1 video, that sentence still won't make any sense. Now, obviously I wondered who was behind them, how they came to be, if there was a hidden genius to their madness, or if it was just pure chaos sprung fully formed from the ether. But I managed to discover that they were directed by an individual named Chris Moore. I reached out hoping for an interview to shed some light onto my dark confusion and provide that video with some much-needed context. But as life often goes, I didn't hear back in time. So I went ahead, I released the video anyway, but to my surprise, a few weeks later, I received an email from none other than Chris Moore himself. I liked your video, but there's a number of things you don't know. Things nobody knows. Except me and Steve. We then emailed back and forth trying to find a time that would work for an interview for a follow-up video, but our schedules never lined up. Then, nearly a year later, out of the blue, I get an email from him that says, "You are cordially invited to a showing of Chris Moore's crazy fun TV commercials at the Ohio Theater. Bring as many guests as you'd like." Now, after a year of our timing not working out, the timing works out perfectly, because I would actually be back in the Toledo area to see my family for Christmas. My friend Briar lives in the area, so I invited her along and we watched the showcase together. She was very sweet to help me out. Anytime you see footage with me in it in this video, she is most likely the one who shot it.
The American Revolution, December 3rd.
Oh, that's when it's happening. The Historic Ohio Theater is located across the street from a barber shop that features everyone's favorite hairy plumber, Mario.
What's going on here?
Aha. Took a while, but I figured it out. It's a beautiful little place, and it has this classic box office and a little popcorn machine and this stunning overhead artwork that sets a very specific atmosphere. It's the kind of theater you don't really see anymore, or at least that they don't make anymore. And I was so happy to not just see this place is still alive, but to see all these little progress flags around the theater, all with little messages that this is a welcoming space, a space for people like me. And statistically, probably you. I've seen my analytics, y'all are a bunch of queers. Walking through the Historic Ohio Theater feels like walking through a snapshot of an earlier time, but it's nice to see that it isn't stuck in the past. That being said, its age is starting to show in some places, and the building is a little bit falling apart. In 2008, a lightning strike destroyed their signature marquee, and you can see that they're trying to restore the facade. They've still got a bunch of scaffolding up. Inside, there are still some problems as well. There are actually some chairs that you can't sit in, so they put these little posters on them that say, "Hey, don't sit in me." But they also have a QR code so that you can donate to help keep this little theater alive. And oh, look at that! Here's a little QR code where you can donate if you want to keep this theater alive. Also, the space next door has been purchased by the Children's Theater Workshop, and they're working on renovating it into a rehearsal and classroom space. So if you're interested in making a donation to the Historic Ohio Theater and or the Children's Theater Workshop, the showcase itself was a lot of fun. Chris didn't just work on the Car Stereo 1 commercials, he did a lot of commercials for local businesses, and most of these were actually ones that I'd never even seen before. They weren't shown to us in chronological order, but I kind of wish it was. Like, you could really get a sense that Chris was starting to push boundaries here and there, and then he just kind of kept pushing until he became the guy that you would go to because you knew he would make something memorable.
As time went on a little bit, I started wanting to make Super Bowl commercials for no money for the local market. And you'll see interesting things start creeping into these commercials that you're not usually, that you don't usually see from local commercials.
By Chris's account, it all really started with this guy who just said he wanted to wear a penguin costume, and everything pretty much fell into place from there. But there were a ton of others. I'll just play you a little highlight reel now.
Hurry, the kids are hungry.
Did you hear? They're selling us for under market price.
Under market price? It feels so unappreciated.
No, everybody loves you, man.
Everybody does these other seafood restaurants.
Ace Appliance, you're my last hope. How fast can you come and fix my freezer?
I'll get right to it, man. When you call Ace Appliance...
When I grow up, I want to be an Ace Appliance service technician. Ace Appliance is a real friendly place. The thing about that broken bus material right in there.
My hero.
How did you do that?
There was this blinding light, and those funny-looking little guys running around the used car lot. They were changing the price stickers in the windows of the cars, lowering all the prices. Then they just disappeared, and no one on earth could remove the new stickers.
Fast, friendly service. It's up to us.
Man down!
I especially like this one, where you think that this kid is going to be the weirdo for talking about investing, but actually then his clubhouse friends just have very firm opinions on how to invest.
Next order of business, how are we going to spend our club treasury?
Pizza, baseball cards, video games.
What if we invested it? Let the money work for us.
That's expensive.
The broker fees alone will kill us.
I like that a lot of these ads would throw little curveballs like that. They would set up a joke and then actually be making a second different joke based on your expectations for where the first joke was going to go.
We know the Ace song.
It was huge, and at least 20 feet long. It was dripping wet, clinging to everything, and lived down there for years. It was a tree root. I'll be back, and so will we.
Honey, we need a new air conditioner.
I can fix our own one.
We're calling M&M. M&M guy, come back!
Don't worry, son. He'll be back if we know.
I'm actually surprised at how many of these aren't even selling you anything specific. They're just reminding you that a local business exists and they trust you to already know what they do or to figure it out.
Uncle George, hey, it's me! Man, this thing's good for nothing. Look, little icebergs. Service, installation, 25 years of making Monroe cool. 25 years of making Monroe hot. Strangely enough, penguin doesn't taste like chicken.
Virtual PCs is a different kind of computer store.
Ooh, how about that one?
The search for the new Steve continues. It's me, Steve.
Hi, Steve. Car, stereo, one.
Honestly, it kind of reminds me of how Geico or Progressive will sometimes just give you a little skit instead of saying anything specific about insurance. I actually like this approach. It feels a little bit more creatively liberating than watching someone rattle off the selling points. I finally got to actually meet Chris in person while I was there and shake hands with him. We talked a little bit. He's a nice guy. I'm glad we actually got to meet. Also there, the man himself, Steve. It is so telling the kind of influence that these commercials had and still have over the people in the Toledo area. Because when I told my family that I would be taking off for a day to go see some commercials for Car Stereo 1, my sister's response was, "I believe you mean Car Stereo 1.
Car Stereo 1.
And that very night, as soon as Chris said, "Steve is here," the immediate response from some unknown voice in the peanut gallery was, "Turtle."
But I'd like to introduce somebody that most of you are familiar with, local legend, Mr. Steve Braun from Car Stereo 1.
The impact you have to have on people for them to, without missing a beat, say your catchphrase upon hearing your name. That's something you expect for, like, big celebrities. But this isn't a big celebrity. This is a guy who ran an automotive modification shop. I love these silly little commercials so much. You'll remember from the original video that the mystery at the heart of all these commercials is that Steve would end every ad by saying, and nobody knows why. And now, I know why. Afterward, there was a Q&A portion, and the very first question posed to Chris and Steve was, "What's Turtle about?" And they actually, upon hearing this question, looked at each other and went like, "Is it time to tell him? Should the people know?" Like, they knew it was a big deal to actually reveal this information. Unfortunately, I didn't get it on film. Right before the Q&A portion started, my phone ran out of memory and I needed to back up my footage, so it wasn't running during the question or during the story. So, I know the story. I was told the story, but I do not have footage of the story. I finally found out where Turtle comes from, and I don't have proof. I have taken this to mean that fate has decided that the Turtle story is unrecordable. Whatever power it contains is too strong for film or for the written word. It cannot be shared in a recorded medium. As a result, if for whatever reason you are curious about this, and if you want to know the Turtle story, I am happy to tell you, but it has to be in person. Okay, if you ever see me in public, feel free to ask me, and I will tell you. Then go right ahead, you can tell as many people as you want. It's not a secret, it just can't be recorded for some reason. I like that you can see how shiny the turtle is from the fact that I just scotch taped it to my shirt. I think that adds charm. I think that's fun. I also don't know how it's going to interact with the green screen. I may have made a lot of extra work for myself in the editing bay to have this dumb little turtle be on my chest. But I don't care. I made this because I like a series of commercials that don't run anymore. I mean, I didn't really do much. I cut out a turtle, but like that's more effort than I feel Steve and Chris ever thought anyone was going to put into anything relating to their ads, right? Afterward, I actually got to talk to Steve for a little bit, and this man is so proud of his work. He told me about how he and Chris would spend hours in the editing bay agonizing over the timing of all the jokes and making sure that everything had just the right feeling of manic energy. And I couldn't help but feel a little kinship with him. I mean, these commercials often feel chaotic, even a little haphazard, and it's easy to forget that that's by design. In my first video, I even said that it often felt like he just got in front of a green screen and ad-libbed. And it's a nice reminder that sometimes it can sometimes take a lot of contrivance for something to feel natural. Similarly, it takes a lot of deliberation for something to feel the right kind of chaotic. And believe me, I know what it's like to spend a ridiculous amount of time on a really dumb joke. Liv is on hold in the other room. If you check out my video on Pumpkin Man, there's a moment where the main character looks up at Pumpkin Man and asks, "What are you?" And then it cuts to Pumpkin Man as if he's responding. And the first time I watched it, I went, oh, there's a joke there. I don't know what it is, but there's something. Pumpkin Man has to have a good response to the question, "What are you?" And we tried everything.
What are you?
It's me, Mario.
What are you?
I'm a bed.
What are you?
I'm Sonic. Click on me for help.
What are you?
I'm just a kid.
What are you?
I'm a goofy goober.
Liv and I were kicking around this joke for days, trying to figure out what it would be. It was Liv, ultimately, who found that clip of Hank Hill running to the bathroom going, "I'm about to bust."
I'm about to bust.
And she put it in, and the two of us laughed so hard at the idea of this mythological horror figure going like, responding to "What are you?" with, "I gotta pee! I gotta pee so bad, man!"
What are you?
I'm about to bust.
And that's for a joke that passes so quickly. It's not even the best joke in the video, and it took forever. But it also doesn't really matter, because the important thing is that it made both of us laugh. And people can tell when you put effort into something. Maybe they don't know it intellectually, but they can feel it. People can feel that passion, and I know they feel it, because 20 years later, someone introduces you to a theater, and a stranger in the crowd says turtle.
He would come up with an idea, I would come up with an idea, we'd argue, right? There was some arguing. I was kind of a jerk sometimes, right? Because I was super particular, and I would sit in the editing thing, and I would like, no, cut it right there.
Alright, thanks for watching. I would first like to formally thank Chris Moore for inviting me to this showcase. It was very, very kind of him, and I had a really good time. I'm also going to put that QR code up here again, so if you are interested in donating to the Historic Ohio Theater Restoration Fund and or the Children's Theater Workshop, you will be able to do that. You can also find a link in the doobly-doo if that's easier. If you like what I do here, please hit like and subscribe. I know that seems very, very small, but it really does help me out. So thanks so much for joining me, and I hope I will see you next time. Oh, and here's a little treat. If you remember from the first video, I mentioned there's an ad where a bunch of Mounties sing at Steve that he's annoying, and he responds by just screaming, but I couldn't find the commercial anywhere. Well, it has since been found, and it wasn't Mounties, it was just a bunch of guys in flannel.
People say I'm annoying. What? Just because I like to do this?
Car Stereo 1. Turtle. Turtle.